Get started. The intermediate school, as you know, has been a topic of much discussion and debate over the last year. Some would like to see this historic structure restored, but there are three plans currently before the board. Option one is to renovate the existing intermediate school at the cost of $29 million. Option two is to demolish the 1914 part of the building, retain the school's existing gym and auditorium, and build a two-story classroom addition for $28,469,000. And option three is to retain the 1914 structure for use as a non-traditional classroom space, retain the school's existing gym and auditorium, and construct a new three-story school building for $34.5 million. Which of these options would you support and why? Let's start with you, Mrs. Gardner.
Okay. Actually, I've been very involved in this discussion in our community and within the district, serving on the district's facilities committee, recently joining that committee this spring. I think that I would choose not to support any one in particular at this juncture because I think we're still having a conversation with our community and within the village of Chagrin Falls about what works architecturally for the village as well as what meets the needs for our students and our teachers. So we've had a great process so far and have really involved our community and our leaders educationally, and we're still undergoing and still looking for what the right answer is.
Okay. Mr. Hogan, you're right in the middle of this discussion. What do you think?
It's an issue that there's no one recommendation that I can make myself that is, going to answer and meet everybody's needs. So what I think the school board has done is looked, what are some of the options that meet educational needs of the children and also meet, fiscal needs of the community. One of the things that probably didn't get enough attention early on was the cultural needs of the community and the community's support of a school in the village. So right now, what I think we're trying to do is find an option that meets all the needs, both educationally, fiscally, as well as what the community is looking for. And we're looking for a solution that is workable and doable. And I agree with Ms. Carvey. I don't think we're necessarily limited to those three options. So I think it's hard to pick one of those options because I think it's a false choice. I think there are some other things that could still come along. So it still is very much a work in progress, but it's trying to meet a lot of different concerns and needs in the community with limited funds and, finding something that's actually going to be acceptable to the most people.
Mrs. Brose.
I got involved in the conversation about a year ago, specifically to Mike's point, because I felt that there was a large voice in the community that felt strongly that the village location be retained and that wasn't being heard, and tried to help create tools so that our board could hear how important this was to our community and our parents. And I agree with both of them that I don't think we have gotten to the right solution yet. I think part of it is we need a bigger picture plan of long-term plan of what our facilities are going to need over the next 20 years, all of our buildings. One of our biggest investments in our school district is in our buildings, and we need to make sure that we're putting the right funds towards those buildings on a continuing basis. I think when we have a better idea of what that puzzle looks like, we'll be able to say how much we have to devote to the buildings that are in most need, such as the Philomethian Street School. So that's how I feel about it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kashi.
I agree. This is a very complex decision, and it's financial, it's community driven. There is no one right answer. It's now going through some other processes with the city of Chagrin Falls. So I think that we are clearly not in a position to make any decision. I think we have to think about our children and the needs of the children for the 21st century learning that they are going to be going through, meaning they have technology that's just being introduced into the educational arena, and that needs to be able to be taught. We're teaching it now at the 2nd grade. The 1st grade, we just got computers. Well, we have computers for all the grades. I think we have to make sure that we design the right building and we design with the needs of the children coming close to first and the needs of the community coming close to second.
Mrs. Thomas.
Thanks. I agree with much that has been said. However, a decision like this can't be made in a vacuum. And as part of the district's strategic plan 2 years ago, we instituted a facilities committee. And we advertised in the newspaper and sent out letters and sent out newsletters and asked for community volunteers to be on that committee. And over 2 years, every building was looked at, and all of the needs of the buildings were looked at, and the costs for those buildings were looked at. And so when we make a decision about the intermediate school, it can't be made alone. We have other aging buildings. We have severe safety concerns in some of our buildings with entrances and exits. And so we need to make a decision that encompasses as many of the needs as possible, that is as affordable as possible. And although we love that we have a building in the community where kids can walk to school, and it's part of the fabric of the community sitting there, and it is a great historical structure. The way that building is designed at this point in time, there are many children who can't even attend the building because it is not accessible. And so to simply renovate will still not make it accessible for many of our handicapped children. We need to make a decision that the community can support that will take into account the needs of all of our children and the community.
Mr. Weingart.
I think it's refreshing to see that all of us agree on this topic. I also agree with all of my colleagues. I don't think that any of those options right now is the right option. I think that the option that best suits the community has yet to be discovered. That's going to take, I think, unfortunately, a significant amount of additional time to reach that through further communication and collaboration with the community to let them know that their feelings and their input is wanted and needed. And as Harry said, the educational need of the students needs to come first. When we consider any sort of design for any of these buildings, whether it's the intermediate school or any of them, that needs to be the driving decision, is what is the best educational decision for our students, and also will the community support it. And we need to find out what they will support through lengthy discussion and lengthy communication with the community so they know that their opinions are wanted.